And we're back. Okay, I just want to hold up something different from the other one. This actually is more appropriate to be holding up this collection again, but I wanted a different thumbnail. Hello everyone in the void, back once more. So, last time I spoke of Tales of Terror of Tokyo, or Kaidan Shin Mimibukuro, and today, well, I'm hitting up the movie version. Literally, Tales of Terror from Tokyo or All Over Japan, the movie, or Kaidan Shin Mimibukuro, I think it's Gekijô-ban. I'll have it correct down there, but that's off the top of my head, which literally translates to movie version. Okay, so, well, differences. This one actually seems to have more of a budget, but what is it? Well, similar to the series of being a bunch of shorts, this too is a bunch of shorts. This one, however, is 8 shorts spread over about an hour and 40 minutes. So, it takes its time on a few more of them, and actually, you get some longer stories. And it's kind of a mixed bag, because between those 8 stories, you have 7 different directors. So, you get some good variety. And unlike the last one, where there's no way in a video, without making it a couple hours long, could I go into all 60-something stories, this one, I will at least touch a little bit on all 8 of them. But, for my continued trying to figure out what the heck, for research purposes, this one, the movie version at least, appears a couple places. This does appear on the IMDb, though it says it's a collection of the best stories from the series, which isn't necessarily true. It is its own unique thing. But there's also a couple other ones that it seems to reference back and forth to, particularly Yurei Mansion, or Kaidan Shin Mimibukuro Yurei Mansion, which, the disc there, that picture is more associated with Yurei Mansion. Not this film. I don't have a copy of Yurei Mansion. I don't know if there is a set with it. But, regardless, this one was at least easier to source online. Okay, so the first story is pretty strong. It actually is a good introduction to the series if you haven't seen it, because it kind of hits both the creepiness and a bit of the goofiness all in one short. So it does a good job of giving you kind of a taste of what you're going to be in for. Now, the first segment's called Night Watchman, and this one clocks in at about 20 minutes. So essentially, there's this dilapidated building that it's going to be torn down soon, and they hire a night watchman, to keep an eye on it. Well, 2 guys, really. One guy who's pretty much the veteran there, and they keep cycling out the other guy because the person in that position keeps quitting for mysterious reasons and just refuses to go back. And his reports aren't helping, as they just say, everything was normal, but there was a man. Everything was normal, but there were 2 women in kimonos. And as you actually see the events for it, it's pretty much, he keeps seeing ghosts. Different kinds of ghosts. While his partner says, oh, there's nothing there, it's all in your head. To the point where there'll be a ghost guy staring right over his victim's shoulder, while his partner will just look at him, look over at the ghost, look at him, oh, it's just in your head. And they just keep going on. So he quits. They hire a veteran from the company. He goes in. He can't handle it. And then there's finally the chief of the company goes in to see what the heck's going on. It's pretty good. It's decent. It's not standout, but it has a kind of tongue-in-cheek feel to it that is enjoyable. And some of the creepy descriptions that are given are a little chilling. Story number 2 is called Wisps of Smoke, and clocks in at about 10 minutes. Now, this one's probably the weakest one for me. First off, it starts off with a guy, Tachibana, on the phone with someone while trying to at a karaoke party with his boss. And then it cuts to 3 girls in the car who are trying to, the people he was trying to call or text. Then the rest of the thing focuses on them, so why we even started with Tachibana in the first place, I don't know. Anyway, they're driving away from this party, and they miss their turn off, and they get lost. And they're smoking. I'm not sure if that's directly important or not, but 2 of the 3 are smoking. Anyway, they continue to get astray, so they pull off and seem to go outside at this abandoned-looking creepy shrine, sit down, have a bit of a smoke break. And then one of them starts vanishing, slowly piece by piece, in smoke. They run, and the 2 girls slowly follow suit, vanishing. It doesn't really give any reason why this happens, or any other than some strange noise issuing from the shrine-ish. It doesn't go enough into any sort of detail to be really coherent or scary. It's just odd. So, that one for me was the weakest. Number 3. Gloves. Clock's in another 10 minutes. This one, I was a little confused at the beginning, and that part never really makes sense. But this movie is about a woman who seems to have a then seems to be working and living independently, and an ex of hers is coming by, just shows up and wants to spend the night and see her again, while she pretty much wants nothing to do with the guy. Now, right when he shows up, there's this weird, mysterious figure that appears standing off to the side of the doorway, and then just when she looks again, is gone. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the movie. Otherwise, it's just a one-off little creepy moment, and then done. The rest of this has to do with after he stays there and leaves, the next night, she dreams that she's being strangled in her sleep by these pair of gloved hands that keep appearing to choke her. In the morning, she has bruises, and night after night, the gloved hands keep coming back, and she slowly begins to start to see a face. She knows he has something to do with it, but can't figure out what or why. So, that story, it's nothing special, but it's good. But the acting's really good in that one. You can really convey how these characters are feeling very effectively. Number 4, The Wait. Now, this one is, again, one of the weaker ones, and this one was only 5 minutes, so this one feels more like the main series, but it's a little odd. So it starts off pretty strong, with a woman laying near her son. It just kind of wakes up to a sudden weight on her chest. She struggles, trying to push off whatever this thing is, and eventually, pretty much, it's revealed to be this a ghost of a man who's sitting on her chest. After she keeps wanting to try to pin her down and then starts going after her son. It goes very, very quickly. You have no idea who or what this ghost is or why. And it just... you have so little clue on what's actually happening here that it really doesn't have a chance to breathe. Funnily enough. Like, the opening scenes of her waking up in panic of not being able to breathe or move were good. But then it quickly loses focus and just doesn't hold it for me. Number 5 is another 5-minute one, but this one, much better. Now, this one's called Full Length Mirror. Mirrors in horror films creep me the fuck out. I'll just say that right off. So, this one hit that sweet spot for me. This is my... I'd say the 3rd best one in this movie. This one, it's about these 2 guys that are graduating high school, I believe. And they're just kind of shooting the shit in the school gym. Then they say, one of them's like, kind of does one off. They notice like the gym lock storage room. Like, oh, this one thing I always wanted to do. Before we leave, we should. And it seems to indicate that they talk back and forth. They never say exactly what they're really doing. They're like, aren't you scared? Like, they kind of indicate that they're investigating an urban legend of the school without really saying so. And essentially, they find this full-length mirror that's just sitting there in the locker room. And it gets ghosty. And I will say this, I swear there's a mini cameo from Juon Shiroiroji, but that could just be my imagination. It might be the same director kind of working in on this, but when it goes from that, it looks very similar. I'm pretty sure it's an homage if nothing else. But this one, it's creepy. The ghost effects are well done in this one, and it hit that sweet spot for me. And it's really short. It felt the most like the main series, and in a creepy sort of way. Number 6. Line of Sight. Clocking in at 12 minutes. This one's my second favorite one, and if it wasn't just for how kind of silly part of it ended up looking, it probably would have been my favorite. So, this one focuses around, you see a bunch of videos of high school or middle school students giving a, where do I see myself in 10 years? They're just doing little videos for themselves. You see a couple of them, and then it gets to the main characters doing one, just how she doesn't want to do it. Tries another one, and just goes, how the hell am I supposed to know what I want to do? Steps off to the side, and there's what looks like a figure standing behind her. So she notices that, gets a little spooked, and takes it to her teacher, who explains that looks like that figure kind of looks like a nurse. This used to be a military hospital back in the days of the war that got bombed and burned down. I wouldn't show this to anyone. Of course, 2 of her friends come in and, well, I don't know if they're really her friends. She seems to be like the loner, unpopular girl. But 2 other girls, like, come and see that, oh, we could use this for the culture festival, because this is scary. We'll do a haunted house kind of thing, and show this cursed video. And she gets popular overnight because of her ghost experience. But then when they start showing it at the festival, or gives the BLC peak, they describe it as that the figure was glaring at them from it, which she didn't remember. So when she sees it again, well, the figure's a little closer. And then it keeps replaying, and just closer and closer. Now, it was really creepy at that point. That was getting me pretty good. The one part where this one kind of falters a little bit is when the ghost kind of does some flashbacks indicating that this ghost is always watching her. The ghost lady is just like behind her in a lot of places, or just staring wide eyes. And her face just looks so goofy. Like when she's doing the ghost thing in screen and live in person, it does look creepy, but just these cuts of her just superimposed into these old other scenes from before where they're just... it looks silly. Didn't detract from the overall feel of the thing too badly, but it did keep it from being my favorite one of the collection. That goes to number 7, The Promise, which usually is the one that actually appears on kind of the cover art for most things for this movie. Now, this one may not be the scariest, but I found it the most interesting. Now, then a man is agreeing to look over his uncle's house while his uncle goes away for a week, or 10 days, I think it's 10 days, on a trip. And he's supposed to take care of the place, mostly just house-sitting. Nothing really to do other than just enjoy the place. But his uncle gives him one mysterious instruction. If you're called, answer. He was like, what does that mean? Whatever. I'm gonna go in and help myself to my uncle's expensive booze. And he begins living it up in the place. He trashes it. He's living his best life. But on the first day, towards the end of it, I think it says kind of in the bath at the point, he hears a voice just called Kazunori-san. Which he immediately goes, yes? And looks confused. And every day, at least once per day, he hears that same, Kazunori-san. Which he usually just reacted, it just says, yes? Which, that seems to satisfy it. But so he kind of starts experimenting with it a little bit. If he doesn't respond, it keeps repeating until he says it. It doesn't seem to appreciate him then mouthing off, but doesn't mind it if he gives a bit of a half-hearted response, as long as he responds. Things go well with him accepting that and just shrugging it off until it gets towards the end of the time period and he invites his girlfriend or hopeful girlfriend over to help him clean up because he really trashed the place. When he tries to have her stay the night for some fun times, the voice seems to take issue with that and keeps repeatedly calling his name, which he realizes that, oh, this is probably bad, and quickly hurries her out before revealing what's actually in the house. This one wasn't the most scary, but it was interesting, and it just kind of intrigued me the most. The final one, Hisao, is a little bit of a downer. This one's another 15-minute one, and it's mostly this woman talking in her house to her son, Hisao. You don't really see Hisao very clearly, but he keeps tracking water all over, and she keeps talking about how those boys kept bullying him, and they really shouldn't have let what happened happen, and it seemed to indicate that her son died, but he was still here. So this one's kind of an uncomfortable feeling of watching her talk to her dead son, and while plotting revenge on the people who wronged him. It's kind of a short, little emotional ride. Not bad, but it's good in the emotion department, but otherwise it is one of the weaker entries. And yeah, that's all of them. Thank you for joining me. That covers the entirety of the series that I currently own. I don't know if I have easy access to any of the other movies, so I don't know if I'm going to be getting to them anytime soon, but to anyone really interested, shoot me a request. I'll see about bumping them up and tracking them down. Otherwise, the movie here, it doesn't really raise itself up above what it is. It's a series of shorts, and while they're enjoyable ones, none of them are really amazing. Plenty of them are good, and a couple of them are kind of weak. So, again, it still gets about a 3 MacGuffins. That's the best I can really say for this one. So, I do like the series. I do recommend people seeing it. Particularly, the movie is probably stronger overall than the main series. So, if you're gonna pick and choose, watch the movie. And if you like that, then take a dive into the series. Alright. That's all on this one. I don't know what I'm going to be looking at next, but hopefully I'll either do it in a day or so, or if I'm feeling really frisky, maybe later today. But we'll see. I was Momentum Easily. Well, have a good day, and a good night.